No one expected it to unravel this quickly. A storm gathering around Britain's most powerful broadcaster. Whispers turning into accusations. Accusations erupting into resignations. And at the centre of it all, a question that echoes through every newsroom in the country. Has the BBC finally lost the trust of the nation it claims to serve? Tonight, we venture into the heart of a crisis where politics, power, and media collide. A battle that now threatens the very foundation of the BBC's existence. And a political revolt led by Nigel Farage, who says he's ready to rip the entire system apart. Before we go any deeper, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us what you think. Your engagement is what pushes these investigations to more people. The more likes and comments, the further this video will spread. Now, let's step inside the unfolding disaster. It started with a declaration, sharp, blunt, and politically explosive. Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, stepped forward and said something that shook the British media landscape. Reform UK will change the law to strip the BBC of the licence fee. Not review it. Not adjust it. But remove it entirely, tearing out the financial heart of the nation's most established broadcaster. He described the BBC's funding model as completely unacceptable, vowing to take legislative action to rewrite its royal charter, the very document that defines what the BBC is allowed to be. But what pushed Farage to this moment? The answer lies in a scandal that had been quietly brewing until it exploded. Earlier this month, the Telegraph revealed something shocking. Inside a Panorama documentary, footage of former US President Donald Trump had been edited in a way that exaggerated his role in the Capitol riots. A mistake? An oversight? Or something more? Soon after that revelation, the BBC's top leaders began to fall like dominoes. Tim Davie, Director General, resigned. Deborah Turnus, Chief Executive of BBC News, resigned. Two of the most powerful figures in broadcasting, gone. Yet despite the chaos, the news division was handed to Jonathan Munro, Turnus's own deputy, who, behind closed doors, insisted that Panorama had done nothing wrong. But there was more. Infuriated, Donald Trump told the Telegraph he planned to sue the BBC for as much as $5 billion, £3.8 billion. A lawsuit of that scale would be unprecedented, devastating, not just to the BBC's reputation, but to its financial future. And as if tensions weren't high enough, another firestorm erupted. It emerged that the BBC had commissioned Rutger Bregman, a Dutch writer and outspoken Trump critic, to deliver the prestigious annual Reith Lecture. According to reporting, Bregman allegedly used the platform to draw eerie parallels between Donald Trump, Nigel Farage, Elon Musk, and the rise of 1930s fascism. He even used the phrase a bit fascist to describe all three. To some, this was bold commentary. To others, it was political theatre funded by British households. The UK government, meanwhile, is beginning its consultation on the renewal of the BBC's Royal Charter. The next renewal won't come until the end of 2027, with the following one a decade later, unless things are accelerated. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has already warned Trump privately that the BBC must get its house in order, especially under the looming shadow of a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has ordered a fundamental review of the licence fee, even as it rises to £181 next year. And with active TV licences falling by 9% since 2019, the public's quiet rebellion feels louder every year. Then came a voice from inside the political system itself. Marco Longhi, former Conservative MP for Dudley North, now a defector to Reform, wrote that the BBC's crisis is no accident. He claims the BBC has drifted far from impartiality, especially on Gaza, Trump, trans issues, and most significantly, Brexit. In towns like Dudley, Walsall, and Wolverhampton, he says people no longer see BBC mistakes. They see a worldview. A worldview that feels metropolitan, academic, progressive, and out of touch with the older, working-class voters who once trusted the BBC without question. To many in the Red Wall, the BBC scandals aren't glitches. They are patterns. Michael Prescott, a member of the BBC's own Standards Committee, compiled a 19-page dossier detailing mangled edits, misleading presentations, bias in coverage of Trump, Gaza, gender identity, patterns of selective storytelling, all pointing one way. Always one way. Nigel Farage believes the BBC's future lies in stripping back its empire. He says the corporation should keep news, keep the world service, but abandon entertainment, sport, and everything else. In other words, a BBC reduced to information only, not culture. He insists the broadcaster deserves a chance to prove itself, but only within strict limits. This would require a change in law, a rewriting of the charter, and a root and branch overhaul unlike anything the BBC has ever faced. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood reiterated the government stance. We support the BBC, but it must get its house in order. A sentence repeated twice by two different senior figures. A warning. A signal. A countdown. Tonight, the BBC stands at a crossroads. One path leads to reform, one to collapse, and one to a reinvention forced upon it by political forces gathering momentum. A broadcaster once described as the beating heart of British life now faces claims that it represents only part of the country, while making the rest feel unseen, unheard, and misrepresented. Farage's challenge is not just political. It is ideological. It is cultural. And it is a direct strike at the identity of the BBC itself. So the question lingers: will the BBC survive this storm as Britain's trusted voice? Or emerge as something entirely different, smaller, stripped back, reshaped by political will? Tell us what you think. Is this crisis a reckoning, or a takeover? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Your voice is part of this story now.